Alright, how's it going, everyone? So what we have here is a My Arcade brand mini arcade Pac Man, which is really cool. It plays the actual game ROM sounds and everything. Now, what we're going to try to do is, with this video, is see if this arcade is hackable like some of the other similar offerings in this size, as well as the keychain versions. There's several games usually included on the same board, and depending on which arcade is boxed, they'll set a jumper to play the right game. So we looked around on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet and didn't see this particular one covered. So we're gonna see if we can't take it apart and see if we can figure out if there are actually other games on this or not. Here we go. First of all, we're going to turn this off and remove the batteries. Safety first, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, today we're going to have my partner here helping to disassemble this.
Hello.
Alright, so right off the bat, it looks like there's 4 screws on the back. Mm-hmm. It's the only screws that we really see, so let's try to pop those guys out.
Okay.
If you will. Try to keep it right about there so everyone can see.
I think we need a different
Screwdriver? Yep.
Yeah. This won't fit. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay.
We'll be doing some editing too, so. Alright.
Okay, so unscrewing. There we go.
Alright. And it's helpful to have a dish or something to put your small parts in. Let's see if I can find something.
Oops. There we go.
Looks like an iPhone case we'll have to do for now.
Oops. Did I knock it accidentally?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Oh, I think I got it. Yep, I got it. And
It also helps to have a magnetized screwdriver, but you can just go ahead and tip it over.
yeah,
Probably come out.
thought it was magnetized.
Alright, and you got one more there.
Oops. And I think it's out. Oops. There we go.
Alright, so let's see if the back comes off.
But what about these sides?
Let's see. Actually,
Think we need to take the stickers off?
yeah, looks like there might be some screw. It looks like this might be screwed in from the side, so we're going to try to get these stickers off. If you ever have to remove stickers or tape or anything you want to reuse, it helps to use a little bit of heat. But let's see if we can. Sometimes you get one that's easy to peel. This one's coming up here. So actually, I think, yep. Let's get the heat gun and see if that helps us out. All right, now you don't need to use a heat gun. You can use a hair dryer or anything similar to that. You want to go ahead and plug that in, buddy?
Okay. There we go.
All right, I apologize for the noise, guys. This is a little bit noisy. And now if you're using a heat gun, they can get pretty hot, so you really got to watch your fingers. And as you're heating the decal, make sure you keep the heat source pretty far away from it. Otherwise, you could melt it. It looks like it might be some kind of a plastic applique. So all you need to do is get it warm, and it should peel up fairly easy. So we're going to give it a shot here. Hold it still, buddy, while I pull it. I get that sticker on. Yep, there it goes. So just pull gently. You don't want to stretch it. And now what you can do is use a piece of wax paper to stick this to, so that you can reuse it. But we'll just set that off to the side. Yep, go ahead and take those screws out. Try to keep that screwdriver straight as you can. All right, I got it. Here, I'll hold on to this for you if you want to use your other hand to steady the screwdriver. That's good. Let's see here.
And it is out. So the side is able to pop out now, I think. Yep.
Oh, well, so this does keep you from separating the back there, so we're going to have to do the other side as well.
So heat
Also,
gun.
we'll do the same thing, yep. So get this corner started. Alright. Alright, you want to hold the game still there and
Yeah.
cool original artwork, just like back in the good old 80s. Alright, go ahead and take the other screws out.
Whoops. Uh-oh.
That's alright. Just take your time.
Whoops. Ah.
It's alright. Gets a little awkward sometimes when you're working around the camera. Oh, I need to push a little bit harder on that. There you go. So far it looks like there's only two sizes of screws here. You know, these larger ones that came out of the back, and then all the side ones are
Tiny.
So I don't think you need to worry about mixing anything up. At the top. Okay.
And
So I think we should be able to pull the back off now. And it looks like...
we can.
Oh. So there's a sticker up here on the top. We're just going to try to peel that loose. Oh, there it goes. Alright, so...
Oh gosh, that's a lot.
Yep, not too much really. This is your power and lights, power switch and lights. USB power port, speaker, volume control, and headphone. And it looks like
Fun.
this is probably the circuit board where there's probably going to be a chip and display driver. So we'll try to, let's go ahead and unscrew that.
Uh-oh, these are small too. I think we need to separate those
Let's
ones.
see. Yep, these are a little bit different. So these have more of a rounded head. I don't know if you can see that. So I just set those off to the side.
there it goes.
All right.
So,
Yeah. Just be real. Oh, hold on a second.
oh, uh-oh.
Let's see. Okay, so the display is attached with a ribbon cable. I guess, yeah, just for the sake of... Alright, I don't know if you can see this here, but this is a pretty common connector for this type of cable. You just gotta pop these tabs out, and this cable should pop out. Yep. So there's the display. And alright, so yep. So underneath this circle here is where the integrated circuit is that holds the game program. And let's see if we can see any type of jumpers on here. So there's these two foam pieces here that looks like it just holds the display tight against the window. I'm gonna go ahead and peel those back a little bit to see if anything jumps right out. Actually, I don't know if you can see it here, but it looks like there's a couple of... Alright, I'm going to remove this piece of sponge here so we can get a better look. Just have to put it back in the same place. Put it over there with the stickers. Let's see if we can... Alright, so what does it say? Let me get some magnifiers on. It looks like they're labeled IOB1, IOB3, and IOB2.
What does that mean?
Or it might be... Not sure, it depends. Sometimes engineers come up with their own names for stuff, but it does look like there's a blob of solder right here. And then these two look like they're open, so let's take that blob of solder off and see what happens. Extension, please. Can you plug this in?
Okay. I have a really good feeling about this. Even though I don't know if it'll work or not.
Alright, so we're going to fire up the soldering iron, and so just some of the tools of the trade. This is a desoldering pump, or solder sucker is what I think most people call it. It's spring loaded.
So it basically just sucks in air, or
Yep, it'll suck in air or whatever hot molten solder. Let's see.
so like the plastic on it can't melt or whatever that is on it. Or...
I think it's Teflon. Teflon is very high temperature resistant. All right. Let's see if we can get this blob of solder off. All right, I'm going to take this away for a second so I can look at it under my magnifiers.
Oh, it's gone.
Yep, it is definitely gone. All right, well, let's put the screen back on. And
See if
the
we
batteries
change,
in.
and see if we change the game.
Yep. That is what that is.
Oh my gosh, I think my sister was just playing Pac Man on the Xbox.
I'm going to turn this over. All right. Can you, let me see. Actually, I'll just flip this up here. And the batteries in. All right. Moment of truth.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, look at that.
Wait, what? What? Rolling. What?
Rolling thunder.
We changed it.
All right, so we found, apparently we found the right jumpers.
Whoa.
All right, let's turn this off.
What?
All right, so let's do some experimentation here.
Oh my gosh.
We need to try shorting each one of those jumpers out.
Oh gosh. In the reflection of that, you can see I heard playing Fortnite.
Okay, all right. All right, so I'm gonna need your help here. I'm going to hold the jumper, hold the tweezers across one of these jumpers. Actually, I'm gonna put it across that first set. See if we can reach in there and flip it on around the front. Can you reach it?
Yep.
Oops. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so that's the Pac Man. So that's the one that had the solder on it. It looks like it stays Pac Man even if you remove the jumper. So I think that just tells it which one to boot up. All right, go ahead and shut it off. We'll try the next jumper. Or yeah, next time we could probably just pull the battery. Might be easier. Yeah, let's do that. Rolling thunder. All right, so I just pull the battery. And then I'll go on the next jumper. These old eyes are having a hard time seeing. Go ahead. Nope, I must not be on. I go and turn it off. Okay, try it again. Nope, I need to put on my glasses. Oops. Okay, go and try it. Oh, what we got there?
Galaga.
Awesome. 1981.
Okay, pull it out.
Yep. And go ahead. Nope. Try. Nope. Pull it out.
Oops. Ah.
Go ahead. Oh, what is that?
Mappy? What?
I have never heard of Mappy before.
What in the world? Pull it out.
Yep. Well, so that was what? 4 games?
Yep.
So Pac Man.
Oops.
What was it? Other one? Galaxian?
No, it wasn't Galaxian. It was Galaga.
Let's go back and try it again. Go ahead.
Galaga.
Oh, okay, it is Galaga.
And then pull it out.
Yep. Very cool. All right, so Galaga, Pac Man. What was the other 2? Do you remember?
Thunder Roller and Mappy, I'm sure.
Oh, Mappy, yep. Okay, well, what we can do is I will try and find a switch, a position switch, where we can hopefully make this thing multiple arcade games select.
I wonder if there's any other games.
Well, we're out of jumpers.
Oh.
So, anyways, stay tuned. We will be right back. All right, guys. So we stumbled upon something interesting so earlier we removed this jumper and we were able to get Rolling Thunder, Galaga, and Mappy, as well as Pac Man. So with the jumper in, we noticed this. Get it on there. Okay, go ahead. All right.
Galaxian.
All right. Then the other set of jumpers. Go ahead.
And Dig Dug.
Yep. All right. So that gives us Pac Man, Rolling Thunder, Galaga, Mappy, Galaxian, and Dig Dug. All right, so I think next we're going to try, let's see, what other combinations can we try? The middle one is jumpered. What if we jumper all 3?
Okay.
Let's try that.
And then 2.
Out of the 6 games that are available on here, there's actually 5 of them that require an A and B button.
Which are the jump and shoot?
Yep, which Pac Man does not have. So Pac Man is directional only, no A and B button. So we're gonna have to figure out how to add buttons, which we actually already did. I can show you. What we'll have to do is take this panel apart, and we'll just show you how to do that real quick here. First thing that you're going to need to do is to remove this bezel, which it's just stuck on, so it helps to use heat, but this one we popped it off once already. Set it aside. Then we need to remove 4 screws. Let's get our screwdriver. You want to unscrew? So taking these 4 screws out, we'll remove this frame piece here. And we need to remove that to get the control board out. And just go ahead and loosen them all. And might have to pick it out with a... Oops.
There we go.
All right, so there's the frame. And this button board is just slid into place. Doesn't take much to get it popped out of there. You can see the buttons that we've added, A and B. Let's go ahead and take these screws out so they can see. All right.
I wonder what that is right there.
That's just to tell the factory probably which board it is.
Oh.
Okay.
And pop that off.
Yep, pop it off. And so here's the buttons that we modeled and 3D printed. And then here you can see so this button here, this pad, and these pads are for the A and B buttons for the other variations of these games. If I had time, I would have done a little more designing to where we would just use those pads and use these style of buttons. But we didn't go that route, so hopefully it'll work. I think it will. Here are the two terminals for the A and B. On the other side of these switches, I just cleaned off a section on the trace, scraped some of the mask off, and then soldered the leads on the switches. And the switches themselves are glued to the board. I could have made them to where they solder through, but this way was just easier. It kept everything on this side of the board. And so here's some still photos of what I did that shows a little bit clearer of the steps. As I said before, Pac Man is the only game of the 6 games that are on here that doesn't use buttons. So if you haven't got to this point yet, it might be easier to go by the other games that are available from my arcade that have the 2 buttons already. That'll save you a lot of work, but it was kind of fun modifying this machine to work with the other games. So here is the board without any of the buttons on it. You can see here the pads that I mentioned earlier. They're there, but there's not an easy way to utilize them without a lot of work. Here's a circuit board that I got out of the scrap bin. It had a couple different options for buttons to use. We just chose these as they're easier to handle, and they barely fit between the board and the control panel. But they work pretty well nonetheless. Then here's the buttons attached to the board with the connections wired up. Then we have the control panel here. Have the holes drilled. Not the prettiest holes, but they look pretty decent. Here's the buttons right after they came off the 3D printer. Then here are the buttons installed into the panel. All right, now let's go ahead and put this all back together.
Yay! So, I think we put the screws over there or something.
Yeah, I'll just get this all hooked up. Hopefully buttons don't fall out. Let me actually do this. All right, let's get the screws back in. I'll go ahead and set them in there. Actually, what you can do is stick the screw on the end.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sorry about the background noise. The bomb cyclone is passing through. Luckily, we didn't get hit by the cold, snowy part of it.
I guess this is the strongest part of the cyclone here. Like, when it happened yesterday night, and, like, it wasn't really bad last night, though. But it was just a little windy, and
Right. Make sure everything feels good.
yep.
Alright, let's slide this back in. And let's put
Dad,
this panel
I
back
was
on.
also wondering, like, what this third button was, because, like, there's two buttons right here, but there's also one in the middle.
Probably just in a different spot for a different game. Maybe we'll pick up one of the other games and do the same hack to it. Not really a hack, but
Just like something you can do on the inside of it.
yep. Get the screws. So it's snug, it's good.
I bet the birds are flying uncontrollably now. 'Cause, like,
Well, they're probably getting tired because they gotta flap their wings like crazy. Oh, get the right screw. All right.
uh-oh. Did it fall in there?
Nope, it's underneath.
Oh, okay.
Here, you meant to get those.
Yeah.
I got a better angle. But you've got the better eyes.
I wonder why there's like a tiny slot right there. Like the screw and also that.
It just looks like it's scratched.
Oh.
Okay. Now comes the fun part. So during our experimentation with these jumpers, some of the jumpers, especially the ground ones, so ground, there were 3 ground pads all tied to the same line, and they eventually became delaminated from the board. And we have, so pin 1, 2, and 3 are also delaminating, but they're still attached. So what we're going to do when we attach the wires is put some hot glue onto the wires, so as like a strain relief, so it doesn't peel those solder pads off the board. So in order to switch these, we thought of a few different ways to do it, and the way we came up with was this 6-position rotary switch. This switch is a double pole 6-throw switch. So we have the two poles for the common, which we have on the white wire, and then 6 different throws. So 1 through 6, and 7 through 12. And if I drew plans out right, then that should do what we need to do to switch between the jumpers. So some of these require 1 jumper, some require 2 jumpers. So here's the jumpers here. So some games use this pair, some use this pair, some use this pair, some use 2 of these pairs, and some use none. So let's find a spot that we're going to mount this switch once we have it in. We're thinking about mounting it through the back. So this is the knob, so we just need to figure out where we want this selector knob. And it looks like there's plenty of room on the back side. We just need to be careful that we clear, once this board is installed, that there's plenty of room for the switch, which it looks like might not. Let's put a couple screws in just to hold that board kind of out of the way, or in place where it'll be where it's supposed to be. Find out how much space we'll actually have. We might have to wind up putting it in the side, but actually it looks like there is plenty of room right in this spot here, or on the other side. So So what we did was drilled a hole for our switch, and depending on the switch you get, that hole is going to be determined by the size of the shaft here. And the second hole is for this peg that keeps the switch from spinning when you're selecting your game. Now we're going to attach the switch to the board. I'm going to remove this display so we don't ruin it. And again, to do that, you need to release these tabs, slide it out towards the edge of the board, and the display comes out. Put it in a safe spot. Now the fun part.
Putting it in? Putting the switch in? Or...
Yes, the soldering. I'll go ahead and turn it on. And again, these solder pads are very fragile. Hopefully I can get this switch soldered on without too many issues. So the plan is to do one wire at a time, and after each wire I'm going to secure the wire in place with the glue gun. And I think what we want to do is make it so that the switch wires come out through the bottom of the board. Is going to be our best routing. So we kind of want everything to come out this way. All right, so see, I think the soldering iron is ready. And as you can see, I've already pre-tinned the leads. There's already solder on them, so all we should need to do is touch the lead, solder, then glue. Okay, and on this board, so right now it's upside down, it's pin 1, 2, and 3, and this one here by itself is the ground. Alright, on this switch, I didn't do any kind of wire color versus pin. It was just random, whatever wire I happened to grab at the time. So for pin 1, or jumper 1, it's going to be this red wire.
Can I try to solder it on?
Well, this is a very small solder connection. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this time, but for the next one, I'll let you do it. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. And another advantage of gluing is going to be it will insulate the connection. All right, there's one. So I'm going to go ahead and put a blob of hot glue and go to the next one, which will be, actually let's let that glue cool off a little bit. Maybe we'll do a video speed up of this part. Or maybe some of you out there might like to watch glue dry. Or in this case, cool off. All right, so the second jumper is going to be orange. Wound these up earlier, which if it's wound up, it tends to be harder to work with. Jumper 2. Oh, we have a problem.
What is it?
Alright, so what I thought would happen happened. The pad completely separated from the board, which is no big deal. What we can actually do is go farther down on the trace here and scrape the mask off and solder directly onto it from there. Right. Got the old pad off. And we'll have to tin that spot I just cleared. Then and we'll add a dab of glue. Let that cool off a little bit. And for pad number 3, terminal 3, jumper 3, it is going to be this white wire. Just wanted to put a little extra on there. Actually, I'd like to cut this one a little bit shorter. Can you grab me the snips, please? Thank you. All right. Little bit of glue. Let that cool off a little bit, and then we'll hook up the last lead and give it a test before we put it all back together. I'm going to put a little bit of solder on it. Well, you think it's going to work, buddy?
Yep. Oh my. I think I'm there.
Alright. Gotta get on that last solder pad there without making it stick to the other wires.
It's probably gonna be complicated.
I got it on there. Looks like it's good. Put a little glue. And then once that cools off, we will put the screen in and see what happens. All right, I think it's about ready.
Yep.
So we need to just make sure we plug this screen in the right direction. I believe since it's mounted like this, I think that, yep, the shiny pins go up.
Yep.
Sure it's inserted all the way. And then we close the clamps.
Turn the game on.
Not yet. Make sure. Put the clamps down. And this is the moment of truth, folks. Let me make sure the switch is set to 1. Feels like it's on 1. All right. Go ahead and switch it on. So we should get Pac Man.
Yep.
So there's Pac Man off. Scoot this up a little bit.
And
Let's switch to 2. I think we should get Galaxian. Yep. Next.
3 is
Dig Dug.
Yep. Dig Dug.
Got Dig Dug. Cool. Turn it off. Next is Mappy.
Yep.
Got Mappy. Next is Galaga. Yep, Galaga.
Yep.
Okay. Then
Next is
last but
Rolling
not
Thunder.
least should be Rolling Thunder.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, let's go to turn it off. We'll go to Galaga. And then let's test out the buttons, huh? Or should we put it all back together first and then test the buttons?
Put it all back together and then test buttons.
You think it'll work?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we're going to put this back together and then test it and see if it works. All right. So what we got to do is we'll put this foam pad on. But now that we have the wires there, we'll have to put the foam pad probably closer to the outside. That should still hold the screen on. If not, then we'll have to come up with some other plan. We can probably cut it to go around our glue blob here. Let's see, we got a little bit of fingerprints on the screen. Let's see. I'm gonna clean this screen off. Not the best thing, but all right, looks good. Let us flip. I probably should have used wire that was a little bit more flexible. I've touched the screen, so I probably got more fingerprints on it. It actually looks good. Let's find the screws that hold the screen in. There's 1, 2. Well, one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So those screws are for the sides. So what it seems like is we are missing a couple of screws.
Are they right here? Is that
Well, that's 2 of them. So we'll just have to make do.
or are they in that foam, the foam cover?
What phone cover?
And not the foam cover, but like.
Oh, our little screw tray.
Yeah.
Nope, the screws that are in there are for the sides and the back.
Oh, wait. No, what about here? Not under there.
Alright, well, that's alright. What we can do
Is hot glue? No.
well, we
not
can,
good.
what we can do is borrow a screw from one of these parts. Actually, I think we're going to be okay. We have 2 screws holding the circuit board in, which should be just fine. Then we'll put in our switch. And what we could probably do later is make a sign to put on here that shows which game you're selecting. That would be pretty cool.
Or just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
Sure. You want to test it now or put the screws in and then test it?
Put the screws in and test it.
Ooh, all right. But I think we should definitely test it before we put all the stickers back on, right?
Yeah. Tightened up. Everything looks good. Oh. All right. Well, what do you think? Are we ready? Yep.
All right. So right now we're on position 1, so we should get Pac Man. Hit start. Remember, Pac Man doesn't use those buttons. Alright.
I don't even know why I ate that, but okay.
Okay, go ahead and turn it off.
Oh. Wrong button.
See what B button does. Same thing.
Yep.
Cool. Next.
Dig
Dug.
dug.
See if does your pump work. Sweet. All right, next.
Mappy.
Mappy.
Oops.
Oh, I think you have to use the... I'm not familiar with Mappy, so you might have to use the buttons to open those doors. I think you have to be at the door. I'm not sure.
I don't even know how to play this.
How did you jump off that one before? Let me see. Can I try?
Yeah. Oh, I think I see. Hold on. Hold on, can I try something? I think I know what to do.
Oh, there it goes. Cool. Next is Galaga. Should put it out here where everybody can see it. All right, and then let's do the next one.
Which is the last one, I'm sure. Wait, no.
Yep, Rolling Thunder.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Well, I think we can call this a success, huh?
Yep.
All right, so maybe we should put the rest of the pieces back together.
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna shut it off.
Okay.
All right, so we'll put the sides back on. I'll let you do that if you want. Here's the little tiny screws and screwdriver. Remember, this is magnetized a little bit so you can
Just put it on there and
poke
then...
it in there, but it might be easier just to put them in first.
Okay, even. Wow.
All right, so it's best if you just hold the screwdriver straight up and down. Like that. We can move the camera a little bit.
There we go, and then
more for this side.
And then we're gonna move on to the other side. And then we're gonna put that sticker on after we put the screws on.
Yep.
Start. Okay, so I left off putting this in. Just one screw in. There. So I did that. Should be in right. Yep. Moving on to the other side. Put this one. Okay, there we go. Stick this in that hole. Four more to go. This one here. Okay. This one here. That's 2. Swirled out of there. It's like, what's been going on since the morning? Ah. And we are done with both sides. Now we just need to put the back on too. Oops. And I need to put the bottom in first. Yep. And now for this part right here, framing, and also the back. Not the back, and the sides too. So it's just gonna go on there. Yep. And then now the side stickers. Why not stick?
Now, if for any reason you get any fuzz or debris on here, which this does have some, we accidentally got it stuck to some paper. If you do get fuzz and debris, all you have to do is rinse it in mildly soapy water, and all that fuzz will come right off. Let it air dry, and then it'll be all set to go back together, just like new.
Or just put it together like that and then it'll stick. Oh, I think this is what we got stuck on it.
Work the air bubbles out. Probably going to be easiest to line it up along that edge.
And up. the air bubbles out.
Yep.
And it just looks like it was just bought. Or just like...
Yep, so it's a little bit of work to get there. Like we said before, it's easier to start with the version of this arcade by this company, My Arcade. That's for one of the other games that are on here. Just to make sure you have A and B buttons.
But we accidentally put A and A also. But
And that was my fault. But we'll get the right buttons put in later. So, works good. We'll show you what it looks like with the switch on the back. Sort of bulky, but it gets the job done.
And Dad, I was also wondering, like, if you could, like, turn it on and then, well, there's that game on there. Can you, like, switch it while that game's still on?
Go ahead and try. So, it's only looking for the switch when you first turn it on.
Yeah.
So, that's an excellent point, though. So whenever you switch this, it's got to be off to switch it. And eventually we'll make a label that shows which position is for which game. So if you take this project on your own, go ahead and leave us a comment. And be sure to share, like, and subscribe. It was a pretty fun project, wasn't it, buddy?